Hashtag, we're taking it on the road.
Yes, we're starting.
Right, okay. Hello, we are back. Moho Sessions season.
3.
That's not 3, that's
It's 3.
And season 3 is in the Blackpool British. Wait a minute. Yes, this is a great start.
The British Country Music
The
Festival.
British, thank you. The British Country Music Festival, which is celebrating 5 years, which within the music industry and how many festivals are closing and how many grassroots music venues are closing, that is such a thing to celebrate, like a great thing to celebrate, especially within British country music. And I'm sitting here with the one and only Mr. Luke Flear. That rhymed!
It did, yeah, it did rhyme, yeah, that was
There
perfect.
could be a melody to that as well.
Absolutely.
And he performed, is it a 40 minute set?
Yeah, 40-minute set, yeah.
Just you and a guitar.
Yeah, me, the guitar and the keyboard. Yeah.
You really don't need anything else.
No, thank you. Thank you.
You kind of wowed the crowd.
Thank you. The thing is, like, for me, I've done it like that for so long, just a guitar and a keyboard. It's almost more comfortable than playing with a band because I don't play with a band as often. So when you kind of just have that control, really, and you know that guitar is battered and bruised, but it's been with me for like probably 5 or 6 years now, and it's seen all kinds of places. But yeah, that's all part of the thrill of it for me, to be honest.
You seem very like comfortable on stage. Like,
Thank
the
you.
stage seems to be your home and where you shine.
Thank you.
Is that how you feel when you're on stage?
Yeah, I
Is
think
that-
I think for me, I just feel kind of when I go to gigs and events, I always feel so. I'm quite a naturally shy person off stage. I'm always kind of conscious, you know, about speaking to people, and I can get quite shy and stuff like that. When I go on, I'm probably my most comfortable, I'd say.
completely opposite.
Yeah, you kind of go on, and that to me, that's kind of the easy bit. Especially when I first started gigging. A little fact for you: my dad, who takes me to all my gigs, when I first started gigging when I was 15, he used to make me, when I get off the stage, he say, go to everyone that you've seen watch here and go and speak to them and thank them. And I hated him for it. Because for me, when you're on stage, you're just doing what you kind of know best. Whether it sounds good or not, you're doing what you know best, and then that's just what you do, is what you practice. Going and speak to people when I was like 15 and shaking their hands, and I found that really daunting. And I'm so glad he made me do that, because it made it a lot easier moving forward in the future. I still hate him for it though, because every now and then I'll still do it when I don't want him to, and it's hard, but I'm getting used to it.
I have to say that's like in the music industry, you need that kind of support and someone who's going to challenge you like that,
Yeah, definitely.
because that's a very important part of being an artist.
Yeah, 100%.
It's probably not like you don't always tour. You can't tour 365 days of the year, although some artists do
Yeah.
tour 365 days of the year.
Yeah.
But you know, with tours and things and shows like that, it's important to make that connection with
Definitely,
the artist. So it's very
100%.
important. So
Yeah, and I'd always feel
big up to you.
yeah, definitely. I'd always feel so much better after I'd spoken to people, because there's nothing nicer as an artist than, you know, from people coming over and giving you their honest opinion, and if they've enjoyed it, even better. I'd always feel so good when I'd get in the car and drive home that I'd gone and spoke to that couple or whoever else. But beforehand, it's funny, you come off and you think it's just like a drain of nerves, but actually when I had my dad going, right, that couple there and that guy there, and he's watched you all night, go over, shake the hand, give him a card, this type of thing, I just kind of clam up. But I'm growing to love it. I am definitely growing to love it now, but it's taken a few years.
See, I have to say this to you, but I think I've already said it, but I need to say it anyway in a more formal kind of way. When I saw you at, and I think it was Buckle and Boots, and I bring this up because we're always talking about like American country versus British country, and I suppose the global stage that British country music wants to reach, but for some reason at the moment just isn't able to get there for whatever obstacles are in its way. But when I saw you at that songwriters round with Blue Foley, Maggie Bolt and yourself, you kind of raised the bar and you held held the flag. I was like sitting there going, this is just amazing, because
That's nice.
you
Thank
held the flag for British country music so well.
Yeah,
And I
thank
think you even impressed Blue and Maggie, because they were sitting there, and I don't want to say jealous, but I could see a little tinge of like, holy shit, he's really good at it. Kind of going through their faces, like just
thank
going,
you
kind
very
of
much.
going, where did he come from? Or how was he? But I just thought, bloody brilliant, like because I get like it's not a pet hate, but I get annoyed when people don't fully appreciate what the British country music scene has, and because we're here celebrating British country music, I just want to say that to you because you held your own and more, and you like your voice is delicate, it's smooth, it's sexy, it's country.
Thank you.
It's all these things. It's all these things. I know I'm voice of a woman, but like I can appreciate a good male vocalist when I hear one.
Yeah.
And your voice has all those things.
Thank you very
going
much.
Through it.
Yeah.
And it was to hear you and to see that was just, it was really quite it was quite moving. But how do you feel about, I suppose, British country music? I don't want to say versus American country, but how do you feel being in the British country music scene and wanting to, I suppose want to like make it big?
Yeah, I think it's funny because it seems to be the only genre where there is that divide.
Yep.
Other typically American genres, like blues is probably the best example ever. You know, in the 60s, it was the British artist that took blues to a new level. You know, probably the most famous blues guitar player of all time is Eric Clapton, and he's from London. You know, he wasn't from the deep South America, but at the time nobody would kind of call him out for being a British artist. So moving on as well with rock, Americana. You know, one of my favourite singers of all time is Elton John. He's never sang with an English accent. You know, he sings with that Elton John really over Americanized kind of twang. He's done a lot of country music, and no one kind of got kind of annoyed by it. No one didn't understand it. I think it's kind of like a new thing because country's growing so much. That there's more eyes on it, and I just hope one day, not just for me but for all artists in England that perform underneath that Americana bracket, whether it be southern rock or traditional kind of country music, I just hope that at one point it's just seen as the same, and you wouldn't listen to someone and it'd be a big thing that they're British. It'd just be, I just as an artist I really enjoy them, appreciate it, like other genres, you know, like jazz and all these other genres which. In England, they're just accepted as just being, well, it's just jazz. It's not American jazz, or you're not trying to mimic anything. You're just doing what the jazz sound is. And I'm just hoping it can get there. And I think it's very nice for you to say that. Thank you very much.
No, but it was just so like, I loved it because I was just like, good on you, and I was like sitting there going, because I just like it's not like I do love American artists and things, but it just annoys me that like there seems to be that divide, and I don't know why it's there. I don't fully understand it, and I don't. But it's there, and it's so loud, and people are shouting it, and it's like, why? Because if people sat down and actually listened to all the artists, like the British country music scene is growing and growing and growing every single minute. There's a new artist coming out every 5 seconds. Like there's probably a new one coming out tomorrow who's just out releasing their debut single within the country scene. And it's just incredible, and like. Even you yourself are newish to the scene. Am I right in thinking that it was Tammy, Tammy that discovered you busking on the streets and introduced you into this whole...
It was a really surreal day, that, because what happened was, so I mean, I've been kind of gigging every kind of venue since I was in my teens, so, from filthy pubs and clubs and to wedding gigs and all this type of thing, but I've kind of been up and down, and when I decided to go into country music, it was probably... around the time of lockdown, I just found myself heading that way anyway, and I just thought, it makes sense. Sometimes you don't label yourself and put yourself in a box, but I think sometimes it is good to let people know what the direction you're going to be going in, and what bracket you're going to be kind of found under, what festivals you're going to be playing, and this type of thing. And then it was on the streets of Leeds, my hometown, right, where I'm busking, and I thought, you know what, I'm doing it now. I'm going to put a cowboy hat on, and I'm going to fully commit to it. And Tammy was just walking past, and she came over, and she went, "Oh, do you know Amelia Quinn?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "I follow UK country music. I'm about to release my first album, and I'm trying to get a part of UK country music, so I absolutely do. Why?" And she was like, "Oh, I'm a soon-to-be wife, and this type of thing, and why don't we do a photo shoot?" And then it kind of just went from there.
You catapulted.
Which is it's still kind of surreal to look back on that.
that moment was, because I remember seeing that and thinking, wow, and then like you do have it like. It sounds like I don't want to say American, but it does sound like a Southern American country male vocal.
Yeah, thank you.
And it's like I remember seeing that, and I remember you just got catapulting into the scene because everyone heard you and thought he's got something. Yeah,
and I think at that point as well, country music was still kind of finding its feet. It was on the way to the growth. It's kind of where it's at now. So it still kind of felt a little bit alien to call myself a country artist at the time. Whereas now I feel like it's so good that it's getting more celebrated. But yeah, sticking a cowboy hat on in the middle Leeds city centre is not. It's kind of rare.
Well, tomography
So
for you. I
it
knew
worked,
that
though.
was because you stuck that cowboy
Yeah,
hat.
it
If you
absolutely
didn't
is.
stick that cowboy hat on your head, she mightn't have stopped.
Yeah, she wouldn't have thought I was country because I at the time as well I wasn't. I can't remember if I was actually playing, but she just walked over and went, "Oh, you a country artist? You got a hat?" And I said, "Yeah." So no, I'll have a listen to I think I did a Garth Brooks song, and yeah, and here we are. You know, it's weird, isn't it? These things.
Speaking of songs and singing, there's a wee guitar over
There is indeed. Would you like to hear a song?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So I think it's still in tune.
Sure, if not, you could tune
Yeah, we're in tune. Would you like an original song then? Yeah.
it. Yes, oh, definitely.
Okay, cool. Okay. I can't lie on my hometown's about 20 minutes down the road to the city where the sidewalk's pretty and the girl's so pretty that you caught it home. Yeah, I grew up in the greenest grass, but the neon never far away. And honey, there's a burning flame that's claimed my name, but today's gonna be the day. Well, I was raising the loudest noise till the noise took over me. A hailstorm started brewing, and all that I was viewing was my daddy's old MTV. At 5 years old, my heart was sold to the 3 chords and the truth. And there ain't nothing that I can do but to see what I'm gonna say. It's all denim shirt, rolled up sleeves around here with your blue cut and baby blue jeans. It's all heartbreaking, hip shaking, old guitars, banging blues like it's New Orleans. It's all Harriet Eccles, leather jacket black, sitters round the ears, bobbers never cut the back. I ain't saying that you gotta agree, but it sure as hell looks country to me. Sure as hell looks country to me. When I found that southern sound, nothing ever seemed the same. Like lovers cry on a get-lucky night, seem to call out my name. Sure as hell, I know I'm fine when that my youth comes with a K. I know my collar ain't blue, but I'm proud of my roots, and I got something to say. It's all denim shirt, rolled up sleeves around here, with your blue cut and baby blue jeans. It's all heartbreaking, hip shaking, old guitar, banging blues like it's New Orleans. It's all Harriet Eccles, leather jacket black, sailors round the ears, bobbers never cut the back. I ain't saying that you gotta agree, but it sure as hell looks country to me. It sure as hell looks country to me. There ain't nothing that I can do but to see what I'm gonna say. It's all denim shirt, rolled up sleeves around here, your blue cut and baby blue jeans. It's all heartbreaking, hip shaking, old guitars, banging blues like it's New Orleans. It's all Harriet Eccles, leather jacket black, sitters round the ears, bobbers never cut the back. I ain't saying that you gotta agree, but it sure as hell looks country to me. It sure as hell looks country to me. this guitar's been travelling because it went out of tune a little bit, but I think it figured its way through, didn't it?
I don't think we noticed.
Let's put this back.
You know how we were talking there about like genres, and
Yeah.
you said that you finally decided that country
Yeah.
was the sound for you.
Hmm.
What was it about country that draws you to it,
Yeah.
as opposed to like pop or rock
Mhm.
or any other genre that's
Yeah.
out there? Because there's millions of genres of music out there. So
Yeah.
what specifically for you attracts you to country music?
I think I always was brought up to like that really southern sound, and I think country music over the years has always incorporated so many different like a lot of different instrumentation and stuff, and I just love that kind of southern, kind of deep bluesy sound, but with that kind of more commercial twist rather than blues music or folk music. It had that more commercial twist where you could kind of take it down different routes and stuff. And I think, like, for me, you know, I was brought up on everything from, like, Johnny Cash to Queen, you know, and I think...
Variety there.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah, an absolute variety there, absolutely. And I think what I loved about country music was that I was probably in my teens at the time when I heard, like, Keith Urban for the first time. And I thought, this is this amazing mix of, like, what I've been brought up on in my grandparents' house, that really traditional country sound, but it had some rock in there as well, it had some pop in there as well. And I just thought... I've always sort of, when I sing from growing up, I just used to mimic what I had listened to. So when I actually started singing properly, I couldn't really change the way I sang. And it just kind of felt like it belonged to that category. And then I just said, why don't I just try and write music like that? Instead of, you know, kind of going down other routes and what's going to sell and what's going to go well on UK radio, which every songwriter can get into that sort of mindset.
Yep.
I just thought, you know, why don't I just try and write what I love and go down that route? And that's sort of what I did. I just did that a few years ago, and I thought, this is really where I want to be. And yeah.
I suppose it's a good place to get it, because the music industry is tough.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not an easy industry to get into for all the, like, the negative criticism and the divide between British country and American country. And
Yeah.
I think it's really important for an artist to have what feels good to them first.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it feels good to them, then your audience will find you, as opposed to you trying to sound like what the radio wants you to sound like.
Yeah, definitely.
What your fans want you to sound like.
Yeah.
What, you know, maybe Bob Harris would like you to sound like. You know, it's there's just so many ways that an artist can maybe sell out or change.
Yeah.
You know, like Taylor Swift has evolved throughout the years, but I think a lot of it was in response to all the criticism that she's had, that she's changed so much.
Yeah, definitely.
And the fact that she went back to like folklore is just kind of back to, is that what she wanted?
Yeah,
do?
maybe.
Is that where she sits? You know, it's,
definitely.
I find it really interesting, and I find it. I think it's probably one of the hardest things as an artist to do.
Yeah, it definitely is. Yeah, and I think, like for me, it just kind of came when I decided to challenge. It's kind of like a challenge to go, right, let's just write what feels like what I'd want to hear from an artist. The kind of people I listen, the kind of people I see live. Because when I was sort of younger, when I sort of left school and stuff, you looked at people like Ed Sheeran and this type of thing. You thought, oh, this is kind of how you do it with an acoustic guitar and all that. But I never really felt like when I sang or when I performed, that's where I sat. You know, you try it and you go on stage. You always try different things. But I'd always, at every gig I've ever done, even gigs where it probably wasn't appropriate, I always would put Kenny Rogers in there and Johnny Cash and Keith Urban and Chris Stapleton and stuff in. And just for my own enjoyment. And I was like, well, why don't I just do that all the time? Why don't I just perform that style all the time? And when you realise there's a home for it in England, and obviously an even bigger home for it in America, it's like, right, okay, I've got an aim now. I'm not just kind of blind and running and seeing where I'm going to go, you know, what music and this type of thing. I've got an aim. This is what I want to crack, and let's just take it from there.
I'm going to ask this question. I know I get sniggers from these two behind me, but I'm still going to ask it anyway. I'm going to mention this one word. Beyonce is what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Do you think that Beyonce has actually opened the doors to British country music artists in a bigger way? Mm-hmm. Do you think that, I mean, it might not be country because a lot of people don't think it's a country album. Some people do think it's a country album. But do you think bringing that album out has made people talk about it more? Has made people want more of the same of that?
Yeah.
Even though that might not be country, but do you think for yourself that you've maybe benefited from Beyonce bringing out country out, or somebody of that high caliber who she could bring out a Yellow Pages and it would sell because she's way up there?
Yeah.
So do you think that country artists in the UK have benefited from that, or where do you see that effect, or do you see that effect?
Yeah, I think definitely. I think whether you like it or not, whether it's your cup of tea or not, I think to have country music talked about so often, and to have it talked about where people are kind of debating what is and what isn't country music. It doesn't happen as much in America because country music in America is so broad. You know, probably the two biggest artists right now in America, which are probably Zach Bryan and Morgan Wallen, are miles apart in the sound. You've got very basic, more folky kind of sound within Zach Bryan, kind of not traditional but stripped back, and then you've got really kind of well-produced, hip-hop influenced country music. Over here, up until recently, that wasn't really in the charts. So when people thought of country music, they did think of really traditional stuff. So I think for that conversation to be opened up is helpful, because there's a lot of artists who perform country music that to some maybe older people in this country, that's country music, but you know, country music, it has changed since Hank Williams, do you know what I mean?
Just a bit.
Yeah, just a bit, yeah. And I also think, you know, especially for a younger audience, I think the minute a genre has too much gatekeeping around it, that's when the genre kind of goes down the is it going to die route. You know, I love rock music, but everyone's always saying is rock dead and is rock dead. But I think because people just gatekeep it too much, what do they see as rock? What's classed as rock? You don't want to do that with other genres, especially country, because, you know, I think to me, there's ways to do it right, there's ways to do it wrong, but you're still doing it, aren't you? You're still doing country music. You're getting the word out there, you're getting the name out there, and it's opening up conversations, and it's helping to sell tickets. So,
see, Alan Jackson had said, and he said, like, I don't know if he was talking about American music or was talking about country music in general, I think. He said that country music, the way he knows it, and traditional country music, he said, nowadays doesn't exist. Like, it was blatant like that. And I was like, okay, but maybe, like, country music has, like, it's changed so much in the last 10 years, let alone from what people call country or don't call country. And you kind of, the lines of where it starts and stops are so blurred because there's other genres that come into it and mixed into it. And even some market as big as America has changed what country music looks like.
Definitely.
And what they kind of, I suppose, formulate and what they sit and write, and writers write 9 to 5, you know, songwriters, that's all they do is sit and write country songs daily and till they're churned out and stuff. So I suppose it like that kind of slate. It's I think it's music is music. And I think it just shows how difficult it is to kind of pinpoint genres. And there's a place for traditional country music, and it is, you know, I'm hearing a lot more of it. You know, I'm a big fan of Zach Top, and that's very very traditional sounding, very 90s sounding, but equally, you know, I've got, you know, I quite enjoy Morgan Wallen's music, and Luke Combs, equally different, well, more kind of the rock route. There's an artist I'm listening to at the minute called Stephen Wilson Jr. I'm not sure if you guys have listened to him. I think Gasoline and Matches. I think Steve from Gasoline and Matches, I think, is a big fan.
Yeah, I think he's incredible, and it's like it's a mix of like grunge, 90s grunge music and country music. But it's like I'm all for that. You know, Red Clay Strays. I'm a big fan of them as well. That's kind of that old-fashioned southern rock sound, but with the kind of country twist. I think to keep a genre going, you've just got to keep expanding it and treat it like every other genre. No one, you know, what's pop in 1965 is not pop music now, is it? Doja Cat didn't sound like the Beatles in the early 60s, did it? But they were both seen as pop music, and no one's gone, well, this isn't, you know. And I think country should be dealt with the same way.
There does seem to be a lot of stigma around country music. I mean, it does happen a bit in the folk genres as well, I've heard. But for some reason, maybe just because I'm in it and I'm researching it, but there does seem to be a bit more little like, that's not, you know, that it does seem to be like that's what it is, and it's boxed and it's labelled, and that's, you know. And I think that's what's so good about the British Country Music Festival, that I would kind of rename it the British Songwriting Festival, because they do have country music artists, but they also have Americana, they have folk, they have roots, they have like all the strands that come off of it.
Definitely.
And they have different artists, and there's something for everyone. And it'll introduce people to new artists, and I think that's what's so great. And to see the numbers that have grown every year upon year for the last 5 years, I just think it's great, and I just hope to see it continue in that way, because there's a great scene in British country
Yeah.
music at the minute.
I think it can only grow. I think through things like the Beyonce thing, but even just the natural growth of country music, I think it can only grow. And I think after a while, you're going to have that many probably UK singer-songwriters who go down that route that you just can't ignore them, you know. And it's just we're going to become probably a more mainstream genre, whether you like it or not. It'll probably become a more mainstream genre, and then there will be more eyes on it then, and maybe, you know, hopefully we'll start having just being dealt with the same way as the Americans do. What I mean?
Speaking of growth, let's talk about Flear and where you see yourself in the next 5 years and how you would like to grow and develop within country music and in the British scene and maybe even globally. Because I'd say if you went over to do a songwriters round in Nashville, you'd go down.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm going to Nashville.
Phone up Blue Foley and Maggie Ball.
yeah.
That's the a reunion songwriters
Yeah.
round. That would go down really well.
Yeah, well, I am actually going for the first time in September. Just basically just to go. I've never been before, so it's just to go and see what it's all about. I'm not putting too much pressure on it or anything. I just want to go. We're booked to be there for 3 weeks. I just want to go and kind of soak up the environment and see how it works. Because it is the home of modern country music. I'm sure there's other places in America and, you know, in England as well. But I think Nashville, being Nashville, I think it's something I want to, at this point in time, want to experience. And I think just for me going forward, I just want to be able to make I want to make a nice living out of doing what I love. That's how I see it. Obviously, as stars, we all want to be stars. As musicians, we all want to be stars, and we all want to be on those stages. And I'd be lying if I said I didn't. But I just think at the end of the day, if I can live comfortably, you know, playing my guitar and making music, I think that is a dream come true for any songwriter. And I just hope, you know, the idea is to get some new music out in the coming months, because I've not released any music in a while. So I've been working on that, get some new music out in the coming months, and just keep doing what I'm doing, and go back and forth to Nashville and just see what happens. You know, that's the plan.
Because you supported, now I've lost his name. Who did
Drake Milligan.
That's it.
Yeah.
You did a support tour for him, because you were supposed to do a Wade Fest, but you got a support tour, which was great. I mean, that's a great opportunity. Yeah, that was just felt like a dream. You know, that 5-day period, and those crowds were unreal. But I think what was so nice for me is seeing the growth of country music firsthand like that, seeing those crowds there, not just the way they reacted to me, but watching the way they reacted to Drake Milligan, watching that full crowd respond like that tells me that it can only keep growing country music now. And to witness that kind of firsthand, and to walk out to the crowd and people start cheering before you've even started, because people have either researched you or they're just happy to see a UK artist up there or whatever it was. I think it's just a sign of good things to come, I think, for country music over here. Well, I'm not going to say this to be nice, but anyway, I think there's something special about you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Just as an authentic country artist, but it's just great that you are flying the flag for British country.
Thank you. Thank you.
I hope you will be up there. You have to be.
Fingers crossed. That's the plan. Yeah.
Hashtag look Flear for
Hashtag
look Flear for Nashville, Blue Foley and Maggie Ball reunion song round in the Bluebird Cafe.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to play a little game. It's not the name that tune game. So I'll say two things and you choose one of them.
Yeah. Okay.
So we'll start with the usual one. We always start with is love or money.
Love or money? Love.
I thought you were going to think about that.
No.
No.
I don't think I heard what you said at first. Yeah. No, love. Yeah, definitely. Money's nice, and money would probably mean you can enjoy more things like love. But I think love always comes first, doesn't it? I think the idea of money buying happiness, not that type of thing, it doesn't really make sense in my opinion. I think the only way it makes sense is if you can just live comfortably and then probably not have to worry about other things. You can then focus on things like love, but love always comes first.
There's only been one person who said money.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And since we've done the Moho sessions, one person said money, and I just went, really?
Yeah.
And then he said money will get him further in the music industry and in the country music industry scene than love.
Yeah.
Everyone else says love, but that was his.
Yeah.
That was
They're
his
kind of
honest
strange
answer.
things to put together, really, because I suppose if we're talking about music, then I suppose I don't know where love's going to get you as far as the music industry, but I think in life in general, I think it's you've got
I suppose if you fall in love with a big music executive,
that would help.
That would help. Really help.
Definitely.
Have you been to the Winter Gardens before? Do you
First
know?
time.
Okay. Have you ever been in the ballroom? No.
No, I went to the ballroom before when when there was a few sound checks happening. Kezzy was sound checking there before, and I just looked
Okay, I
around,
can
and it's
ask
just
you that question.
absolutely incredible room.
The ballroom or the arena where you performed?
I think just being biased because the crowd was so good in the arena, and I've not seen the crowd in the ballroom yet. I'm going to say the arena purely because
Yeah, but the
I
crowd for
experienced
you,
it.
the crowd for you was pretty special, I think.
Oh, thank you.
They really kind of, there was standing ovations and everything.
Oh, good. I think you just give it your all when you're out there. So like performing, then my voice feels hoarse because when you're in that moment, even though you're only performing for half an hour, and I've done weekends before where I've probably done about 8 to 10 hours worth of singing. But when you're there and you're doing, you know, a half an hour set, but the energy's going and you've got a crowd like that, something else kind of takes over, you know, and you come off of it and it's like, I know I'm going to be really depressed on the drive home now because you go from experiencing such a high when the crowd are so kind of responsive to you know, going back to normality. It's a strange feeling as a performer.
Now, I'm going to ask that. I know we've been discussing it, but I need to ask it just to see the answers. British country or American country?
Wow.
I know I've been discussing it and now I'm dividing it myself.
Yeah.
But it's just a fun game.
I think you've got to fly the flag. I'm going to say British country. I want to say British country, definitely, without a doubt. Yeah. I think I've not got to know as many American artists, but I think there's so many lovely people performing music, country and Americana music in Britain. I've been lucky enough to meet a lot of them. And I just think, you know, England's my home. And I know that probably to get where I need to get, it's probably going to be a lot of travelling to America and stuff like that. But I think I'm quite a home bird. So to see, you know, I'm from Leeds, so to see somewhere basically up the road in Blackpool be celebrating country music like this, I don't think you'd feel like this anywhere else. This is a really special thing.
Now on to the harder questions, and I do apologise.
Okay.
Looks country to me or alive?
Looks country to me, I want to say.
Tassels and flares or I left my heart at home? You can see where I'm going there.
Yeah. That's a tough one. I think Tassels and Flares is about my girlfriend. So
Tassels and flares vote over there?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to say Tassels and Flares, I think, because if she's watching this, it won't look right.
Yeah, well you picked love, so you're alright there.
I've picked
You've
love,
picked
yeah.
the brownie points, you get 5 brownie points for you. Cross the line or red vodka?
Red vodka.
Oh, straight.
Yeah, straight away, yeah. I think I think it's kind of hard choosing between your own songs, but I think Red Vodka, I wrote that when I was 17. I never had a drink of alcohol in my life. Yeah, but I'd seen a few. I love people around me have plenty, and I just wanted to put it down. So that's and I'll never forget sort of writing that. That was one of those weird moments where it's kind of cliche, but it just literally I was just playing the keyboard and I just had this melody come and then it literally kind of wrote itself in about 20 minutes. Cross the line was hard work. We got to the end, but it's kind of hard work. So I say Red
One
Vodka.
of those ones that took ages. Young or these 3 chords?
These 3 chords.
November night or today ain't that day? Ain't the day, not that. Actually, it's my honest thing.
Oh, that's a tough one, really.
Thought they'd all be tough.
I play slide guitar on Today Ain't the Day, and I've never done it since, but I really enjoyed doing that, so I'm going to say Today Ain't the Day for now, but it'll probably keep changing, but I did enjoy playing slide guitar on that one.
There's 2 left, but I can't ask that again because it says something to say in Red Vodka Unplugged.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you can maybe if you choose Red Vodka again, then you know that.
Yeah, I'm going to say because I've already chose it, I'm going to say something to say.
Yeah. See, guitar or singing?
I love playing guitar, but you as a songwriter, you can't express lyrically what you need to just on a guitar. So I'd say singing.
Keys or guitar?
Depends on the gig. Depends on the gig. I think like a songwriter round, I'd probably say piano, because I feel like anything played on a piano, it kind of just gives it a little bit more. It's less about the kind of style of the song and more just about the song, because you kind of not generic sounding, but you can have music ranging from Adele to country music to everything in between, which can kind of sound. You can get your point across via piano, whereas guitar's a little bit more restrictive in those moments. But I think then on a stage like a festival, guitar without a doubt, because you can just hammer it out and you can try and fill that room a bit easier.
Choosing both there,
I am choosing both.
Choosing both. I
Sorry,
suppose
I
the love for guitar and keys is like you can't.
I can't choose. Honestly, can't. Yeah.
That's all right. Luke, thanks very much.
Thank you very much for having me.
Pleasure talking to you, and I can't wait to see your rise and rise. And
Thank you very much.
And all the best with it.
Thank you.
So much.
I see you guys soon.
High five. Hey.
Hey.
Love moho session hashtag. We're taking it on the road.